Every Pokemon trainer plays the games differently. Some are into casual battling, some are into Nuzlocks, some are into the competitive scene. Myself, I've always been drawn to shiny hunting. There's just some sort of charm shiny hunting has that other aspects of Pokemon can't seem to capture that well. The joy, the adrenaline rush when you encounter one you have wanted for weeks, months, or even years is indescribable. Of course, the longer one hunts a specific target, the more memorable that experience will be. This is the story of how I got my Shiny Piplup in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Before that, a little backdrop. I'm no stranger to shiny hunting, and I know how terrible and time-consuming it can get. However, one thing I'm always fascinated by is people who hunt starters. Not just any starters, but starters where you have to sit through a few minutes worth of cutscene every reset. I was first inspired to do that back in X and Y, in which you had to sit through a conversation with your friends before you could check whether your starter is a shiny. I decided to give such a hunt a go in Pokemon Moon, in which there's also a considerably long cutscene. However, I quickly gave up and decided to use the Masuda method instead. Finally, I told myself, I wanted to do a hunt for real this time. So when BDSP first came out, I figured that would be the perfect opportunity to test my patience and push it to its limits. I ran a poll on Twitter asking my viewers if I should A. speedrun completing the Pokédex, or B. shiny hunt Piplup. Surprisingly, an overwhelming majority voted for the shiny Piplup. Just like that, this poll single-handedly changed my destiny forever. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by me. Yeah. The journey began on November 21st, 2021 as I started my shiny hunt. The cutscene is straightforward, yet long. Our rival wants to go into the lake to find a red Gyarados. Kind of funny considering that both of us had shinies in mind. We encountered the professor and Lucas, go to the briefcase, get attacked by Wild Starly, and select our starter. It is in this battle against Starly that I get to check whether the Piplup is a shiny or not. Needless to say, like a non-depressed teenager who barely has any social awareness, I was enthusiastic at this point. The world was my oyster, and there was nothing that could bring me down. I would keep persevering even if I had to reset 100,000 times. Of course, I was shiny hunting on stream, so at least I had someone I could chat with to help mitigate the impact of this downward spiral I would eventually go through. Shameless plug real quick, twitch.tv/razorie_. I haven't mentioned up until this point that for every reset, not only was there a 1 in 4,096 chance, give or take, that my Piplup would be a shiny, there was also a 1 in 4,096 chance, give or take, that the opposing Starly would be a shiny as well. You guys can see where this is going, right? At the 691st reset, this happened.
I had ancient forest. Ah, no.
Yeah, it didn't give me the thing.
So yeah, I encountered my first shiny Starly. And the reason why this was painful was that this is what we call an uncatchable shiny. Since I didn't have any Pokeballs at this point in the game yet, I had no option but to kill the bird, to see the shiny bird go down as tears rolled down my cheek. Meanwhile, my friend Abby laughed at me. He laughed. This makes me question our friendship. Do friends laugh at each other's misery? Or is our friendship built upon a shaky foundation that could come crashing at any time? Just kidding, I love him. He's actually really supportive of my content and I wouldn't be here today without his help. Wait! I hear you frantically typing on your keyboard out of sheer panic. Did you say, first, shiny Starly?
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Yes, I did end up encountering more than one shiny Starly. But we'll get there when we get there. Also, need I remind you that up until this point, I had been shiny hunting manually? As in, for every reset, I had to push the controller manually. Every time the Piplup wasn't shiny, I had to exit the game, relaunch the game, spam the A button over and over again on a physical controller. You might be wondering to yourself, wait, Razorie, isn't that how you're supposed to do it? And the answer is, yes, except this is not a productive use of my time. especially if every reset was gonna take a little less than 2 minutes. As hard as it might be to believe this, considering I was doing this shiny hunt to begin with, I had a life to live. I wasn't gonna sit on my chair and watch an unskippable cutscene every day for a bazillion hours. I had an exam to study for, new skills to learn, fresh perspectives to see, and most importantly, a life to live. So, I devised a plan so wicked, dishonorable, and vile, a plan so foul it would put every shiny hunter's name to shame. I set up a macro. For those of you who don't know, a macro program is basically a computer program that lets you automate repetitive tasks by performing predetermined inputs. This means, given the right configuration, I could effectively have the computer do the shiny hunt for me, and all I had to do was visually check whether each Piplup that popped out of the Pokeball was a shiny or not. If the Piplup wasn't a shiny, all I had to do was push a single button, and the computer would do the whole reset for me, without me needing to lift another finger. Do I think this destroys the integrity of the shiny hunt? No, it's my hunt. I'm not gonna let others dictate how I'm going to shiny hunt my own shiny Pokemon. Ultimately, the worth of that shiny Pokemon is determined by me and no one else. Of course, I was not the best with configuring virtual machines to do my bidding, and I had to learn what Linux was to make sense of the Bluetooth virtual controller that is NXPT. Link in the description below. This program helped me so much by allowing me to control my Nintendo Switch virtually through my laptop. This means that I could do something I could not do before. I could multitask. This opened up so many new avenues for me, and my streams were no longer just the monotonous content of resetting day in and day out. As a result of this newfound power, I could free up time to do something more productive, such as learning Japanese with Duolingo, or doing some art. Essentially, the shiny hunt became an activity that went by automatically, as I focused on more productive things. With a system like this in place, there's no way anything could go wrong. Is that a fucking shiny? God damn it! I said, with a system like this in place, there's no way anything could go wrong. Are you kidding me? That's 3 shiny uncatchable Starly at this point. How am I so lucky and unlucky at the same time? They say lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place, but here I am being struck 3 times already. Did RNGesus hate me so much that it thought I deserved this punishment? Was this retribution? A form of karma for using macro? Or is this retribution for any deplorable act I had unknowingly committed? It's okay, we're okay. It's not too bad. As long as it doesn't happen the 4th time. You know, I was once skeptical about Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, it is said. I used to tell myself, that's not a good way to look at life. Surely, there's no way such a pessimistic, unfortunate outlook on life could reliably exist and be believed in. After this exercise, however, I am not so sure anymore. I started to wonder, what if this Piplup was actually shiny locked, hard-coded by the game to never appear shiny? What if my copy of the game was faulty? I would browse through the YouTube section and see people getting their shiny starters left and right. What if I was being gaslighted? What if the universe as a whole collectively decided to mess with me, get into my head, debilitate me to the point of trauma, chasing after something that could never happen? Every waking moment of my life, I would ask myself, will I get it today? Is today the day when my suffering would end? I was in too deep now. If I were to give up now, it would go against all the hours I had spent getting up to this point. I needed to see this through, I asserted to myself. Indeed, everything that could go wrong had gone wrong. Every moment was a struggle. My friends mourned for my one-way ticket to agonizing pain. My close friend, Chaotic Small, even yelled at the people who voted in that initial poll for me. And finally, I ended a relationship of mine. That last one wasn't a joke, it actually happened. I literally had one stream talking about that. You see that heartbreaking sign on that stream title? Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say this is what caused it, because that would be post-hoc ergo propter hoc. But still, perhaps the unbridled Piplup craze mighta sorta coulda had a little bit to do with it. I think it's about time we started looking forward. Alas, at the end of every tunnel, there is always light, the silver lining to every cloud, the yang to the yin, the order to the chaos. All of these negative feelings weren't gonna bring me down. Let's divert our eyes from the what could have beens and look at what I did accomplish during this time. Let's look at the bright side for once, okay? I did a whole lot of art, I spent time with my friends who, may I add, have been extremely supportive of me during this whole venture. I learned some music theory for dummies and discussed with my good friend Small. You see these sprites I have talking to you? It was made entirely while shiny hunting. I tried to learn my first speedrun, had my 4-year streaming anniversary. I wrote an entire CV for crying out loud. All of the aforementioned are just things I did on stream, by the way. Remember that exam I talked about earlier? That was the hardest exam I had ever taken my whole life, and I passed it on my first try. And finally, after all the ups and downs, the rigmarole of getting to where I stood, this happened. Holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck! I got it! I finally got it! Nice! Holy fuck! Holy fuck! It's over! My journey is over. At 15,664 resets, 660 hours of gameplay, more than 200 of which were recorded on my Twitch channel, I wasn't being gaslighted at all, it turns out. I think, strangely enough, I don't regret having embarked on this journey. It's bittersweet, but it's more sweet than bitter, retrospectively looking at this. It may be a small achievement compared to what the full odds shiny hunters out there had to go through fighting that 1 in 8,192 odds, but it still means a lot to me. I sacrificed a lot of my innocence, time, life, and energy. But it's not all that bad, because I can proudly say that I had a good ending, with this video you're watching right now as my proof. At the time of writing this script, I've also embarked on a new shiny hunt. This time, we go for God himself. That is another story for another. Never mind, I got it in 2 days. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. However, I learned that sometimes in life, you have to have experienced insanity to know how liberating sanity truly feels. This experience teaches me that no matter how bleak things seem and how unfortunate the circumstances of your life are, you can always achieve your goal if you sacrifice enough time and energy for it. Complaining about life doesn't get you anywhere. You just have to pick yourself up and... Never mind, forget what I just said. Life sucks, it is ultimately meaningless, and we're all gonna die anyway. Subscribe, bye!